Hooray for Hollywood! Hey, it's Hollywood Breaks, and Keith and I are talking today about the nominations of the Oscars. So exciting to process the who's who and where's where and when's what and everywhere all at once. Whatever it is, enjoy Hollywood Breaks. Well, happy Hollywood Breaks, Keith.
Happy Hollywood Breaks, Tim. Always a pleasure to see you.
Yeah, you too. Dude, this is an exciting week. It's Oscar nomination week.
I know.
It's like
nuts,
throwback to my younger days of Hollywood when I'd have to wake up at 3 a.m. and then get over to the nomination show and listen to it live. It was like a real thing.
I'll give you a quick story. So during Life of Pi, I was working on a radio spot and we had to wait until the nominations came out so I could get the total number. It's because we had put in a VO artist read like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just so we had it all together. And then I was the guy who had to get up at like 5 a.m, listen, count, confirm it with our publicist, confirm it with our post guy to make sure that he got the same number I did. And
oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I was on the show, so I remember my first time on the Oscars, and I didn't really understand what the nomination process was. I don't know how to explain it, but in the 90s, we just was told through the news. You didn't have a separate event for it, but it was a real event. So they were almost like the day before, they kind of threw something at me. And I'm like, wait, what is this event? And what do I have to do? And what time do I have to wake up? And why am I doing this? And then I went there, I'm like, oh, this totally makes sense. This is the announcement of the nomination. So
nominations, yes.
So that was this
big
week.
Deal. This was yes, it was Tuesday. So they announced them, I believe, Tuesday morning.
And there's some not so big surprises, but we'll just start with what you've been predicting all along, which is the blockbusters have made themselves into the show. We got Avatar and Maverick in the show. So the Academy's listening to you, Keith. They're saying, yes, we want the show to be relevant. We want people to watch it. So we better pick movies that people like to be part of the show.
Yeah, I mean, yes. So there's quite a few. There's Avatar, obviously, which is just past $2 billion. There's Top Gun Maverick, which, as we all know, was a huge hit. I got to make sure I get this right. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, because I keep forgetting. I either leave out Everything or Everywhere when I talk about this title. So I want to make sure I get it all in there. And Elvis were all very popular.
Such a great movie. Such a great.
So it's looking like, so again, as I mentioned in the Founders Brew this week, this is the test case for whether or not, everyone in the Academy who's been claiming, well, nobody watches the show because we're nominating movies that nobody cares about. Well, now we've got 4 movies that are people that actually watched and have seen and loved for the most part. So we'll have to see. Well, this will really be a test of whether or not the movies nominated are the real problem or whether or not the award show is the problem. But I happen to think it's the show itself,
or just the format, right?
We shall see. Or just the format. Yeah, exactly.
I think for me, what's exciting is that the roster is great, right? There are movies that you want to root for. There's fun stuff going on, but also what's interesting is something like All Quiet on the Western Front is also nominated, a Netflix released film. So we're really not fighting that battle anymore of what's a legitimate film or not. Here at this Best Picture nominations, we're saying, hey, people like these movies. They're really good. Let's nominate them for Best Oscars, and let's put that information out there that you should watch these movies and kind of build up the opportunity to enjoy some films every once in a while. Instead of, last decade or so, I felt like I was trying to figure out where the film was. How did I get access to it? And then watching it, not really understanding it.
Yeah, that's a great point because, the 4 popular ones were all theatrical releases. They weren't a streaming. So that is also an excellent observation that we have 4 movies that were theatrical releases, not streaming releases. So that also is that's also a big difference from the past few years where we've had a lot of Netflix, Apple movies nominated, and they were all streaming. But now we are back to sort of where the movies that have been nominated are theatrical, which is great.
Let's ask the honest question though, right? There are 10 nominations, so there's 10 slots for Best Picture. There's
Correct.
clearly, when you have that many nominations, there's clearly room for everybody to play.
Yeah.
Are there any surprises? Maybe I'll read them off to you, the movies.
Okay.
Tell me which one.
Yep.
We'll just give a thumbs up of like, yeah, obviously, or really surprising. So All Quiet on the Western Front, Netflix release. So that's good for them. Avatar, never heard of it. Apparently people like that movie. Whatever.
Very, very indie movie, from what I'm told. Small budget.
But kind of a 90s throwback that something like Avatar is being recognized and appreciated. I think the last big visual effects film might have been Lord of the Rings, maybe. That was
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the last big like visual effects blockbuster that won Best Picture.
Was Black Panther? Black Panther wasn't nominated.
It was nominated. It didn't win though. If we're talking about what was won,
that's kind of visual effects big.
Well, yeah, and Batman Returns. No, sorry, The Dark Knight was nominated, but
yeah,
I mean that was more practical than visual effects, I would say. But the last one that actually won Best Picture, I believe, was Return of the King.
So the next one is Banshees, which is apparently good. I haven't seen that one yet.
I haven't seen that one yet either.
But you don't watch movies.
Hey, easy. I saw Avatar. Slow your roll.
Avatar. They got your vote.
Granted,
you saw that one
about a month and a half after it came out, but I still saw it.
So Banshees, I've heard only good things about that. Elvis, I loved Elvis. Baz Luhrmann's vision of filmmaking, the way he puts the story together.
Right. Yeah.
Historical character, a person we love, a soundtrack we can appreciate, but an original way of telling a story. And the big idea really came out. So
yeah.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I've only, from the day it came out in the theater to now, people love this film.
I've gotten a couple of mixed reactions on that one, so I have to watch it too to kind of assess. But a majority of the people I've talked to have raved about it. So,
well, it's because you're in one of those flyover states. Of course, you probably won't hear.
Well, not really. I'm technically East Coast city, so I'm not really flyover.
Sure.
Where I'm from is considered flyover. My hometown is considered flyover, but Philadelphia and the greater Philadelphia area is not necessarily considered flyover.
All right, so the next film is the Spielbergs. Apparently,
Spielbergs,
the Fablemans, Spielberg's movie. So that is, I have not seen that yet, but that was on my to-do list. Almost this weekend, might go over on there.
I was kind of surprised by that one because it got a relatively mixed reaction. It has not done exactly gangbusters at theaters, but it's Spielberg and the Academy loves him, so not entirely surprising.
That's really great. Okay, so the next one is Tar.
That's with Cate Blanchett, where she plays a conductor who gets. It's kind of a commentary on cancel culture. She does some things that are, I guess, inappropriate. I haven't seen it, but that's sort of the gist of it.
That's the one that's escaped me out of this list. That's one I'm like, I don't know if it kind of came out of nowhere for me, which is good. I think the Academy should be watching films and promoting things that aren't just on the main.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The return of Tom Cruise and Top Gun Maverick, which we waited 2.5 years for the release, and so far
worth the wait. As far as I'm concerned,
making it. It is, if you wanted to live in the 80s, the best way to understand living in the 80s is go watch Top Gun Maverick and imagine
Top Gun Maverick. That's right.
Pretty much the same movie.
Yep.
Without the sex scenes in it. Which that would be the 80s version. You'd have to have more sex scenes to be in the 80s. In the 2020s, we're respectful. It's much better.
And a lot of bombs, explosions, and guns. That would make it more 80s. Yes.
And in the 2020 version, we call it The Enemy. We don't name the country we're going after. We just say,
"Oh, that's right. That's right."
Yeah.
Well, they didn't do that in the 80s either. We kind of assumed it was Russia, but they never actually blatantly.
It's a Russian jet that it flies upside down. That's the Russian.
But they don't actually say it. They never. They just say they say in the first one, enemy territory. They never actually come out and say. Everyone assumed it was Russian. But there was never any, or I'm sorry, I should say the Soviet Union. Everybody assumed it was the Soviet Union, but there was never any overt mention. Whereas this
It was
time
it was the Russians. I know it because I saw War Games. I know who the enemy is in the 80s.
Well, that would fit because most of the enemies in the 80s movies were what it was the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
But this one, they had to be very careful about who, because you want to try to get it. You got to try to get a release in China, so it can't be China.
We don't want to offend Putin.
Oh.
I mean, what's Putin?
No, you can't offend Putin
recently? My goodness.
So
he's clearly a nice guy. He
just,
doesn't attack anybody. Why would we know Putin's name anywhere?
It was just some random little country somewhere that they remained nameless. Anyway.
Maybe it's Moldova. Maybe that's where they went.
Yeah, maybe it's Moldova.
Moldovan army. Moldovan army is vicious. You gotta watch out for that.
That's so I've heard.
If those of you who don't know, our producer Lydia is Moldovan, so
that's
all right.
That's the inside joke there.
Speaking of Moldova, no, I don't really mean that. Lydia, I don't mean this when I say triangle of sadness. I didn't mean to put Moldova in the triangle of sadness.
Yeah, I don't even know what that movie is. I've never heard of that one, so I probably should do a little research on that one.
And Lydia said she's editing out that comment from oh, that's so great. All right, Triangle of Sadness. I have not heard of that either. I'm going to guess this is one of those movies that Katie and I are going to, when we're binge watching the best pictures, we're going to grab a hold of that one. And the last one is Women Talking. So, and
I've seen a lot.
Frances McDormand. You have to have a Frances McDormand movie in order to be a nominee. Hey, so
at least she's not. You know what I'm going to say, Sam?
Yeah, I know. You like the pooping
in the bucket. At least she's not pooping in a bucket.
I think that is probably your favorite film of all time. All right. So I think it's a pretty good roster. I'm looking forward to the show, to be honest. What would have to make the show different for me to appreciate it than just rooting for these pictures and wanting my favorite to win? Is it the celebrity culture that we're over? I think maybe that's it, right? Will Smith beating the crap out of somebody in last year's show is pretty much like these people aren't special. They're actors.
Well, we should also notice Emancipation not nominated for anything.
Yeah. They just didn't. I think the whole Academy is ashamed.
Well, yeah. I mean, Matt Belloni, I can't get his name right. Had an interesting point in his newsletter this week. He said like they just released it too soon. They should have waited. Let everything die down and then push the movie out once everyone has time, because I think it felt a little like too soon, too much too soon.
Yeah, it's not like they released Top Gun Maverick the day after Tom Cruise jumped on the Oprah's couch. You know what I mean? Like you have to give it a decade between acts in order to appreciate.
Although my wife still hasn't gotten over all that nonsense that
your wife's a very smart lady. Your wife's
I know she's
still the same dude that jumped.
I wasn't so much the couch jumping; it was the way he went after Brooke Shields for her postpartum depression.
Oh yeah. See,
that was sort of. I think he turned off a lot of women with that comment.
See, Will Smith, we could have just waited 5 years, released it. He wouldn't have aged in 5 years.
But it's an interesting point you raised, because Robin, fellow Hollywood Breaks contributor Robin Geis and I were speaking this past week, and she mentioned that it was not a great year for movies, and she wasn't wrong. It has been sort of a almost like a barren wasteland for weeks on end where there's nothing released. And we were talking a lot about the death of the movie star, and it just feels like and celebrity culture has shifted away from the movie star being the ultimate attainment to just being famous for being famous, or for doing something stupid on TikTok, or being a quote unquote influencer. Like that makes you a celebrity now. So I think the sort of downgrading of it has sort of made something like watching the Oscars, where you obsess about who's wearing what, and you watch the red carpet and the show. I mean, for a lot of our viewers who are on the younger side, it's hard for them to relate that the Oscars used to be a cultural moment. Like we all used to talk about Billy Crystal and Jack Palance doing his push-ups and all those things back in the day, which it's just a New York, LA thing now. Like most people don't care anymore.
Well, the rise of the blockbuster, right, is what created the movie star in the blockbuster era.
Yeah.
Right? And what that became is which movie stars brought the most views, the most tickets. That's what we're looking for.
Most tickets, yeah.
So there was a bias towards the more famous people when we were when those times played out too. And then the show was good too. The economy kind of matched, and the viewership matched what Hollywood was producing. Nowadays, celebrity is a commodity. Fame is something that anybody could achieve. Therefore, it isn't something special. And recognition for or a person who is recognizable to create a product or productize themselves or create a product line or a marketing agency, it's clearly leveraged. Everybody realizes, oh, you're just doing this for the money. You're just playing out something. So that's not, I don't know, it's not a heroic effort. And at some point it felt like, oh, these are people that were, gave you a desire to want to achieve that effort. And now you're like, it doesn't seem heroic in the same way. So to honor them specifically is kind of odd, but it doesn't mean you can't make a pop culture moment around the show. There's still pop culture happening all the time. You just have to wake up to what is really happening in our world, and then not lecture people about politics in the middle of a big broadcast, and do something more relevant to pop culture.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because Richard Rushfield has often said, it's hilarious that a show that's about the movie industry is so damn boring. Like, this is supposed to be the epitome of entertainers and the best and the brightest, debatable, of like the entertainment community and what they are able to achieve. And yet their show, to honor the best, is just boring as hell. And it's not entertaining anymore. And they're so wed to a model that is dying, and nobody is interested in it anymore. I mean, they tried to tweak last year by moving some of the lower tier awards before the broadcast, and then doing a little sort of vignette throughout the show of who the winners. But now they're going back to just announcing them all on the show again. It's like they learn nothing. Like, that actually kind of worked.
Why aren't they calling us? We could produce this. It clearly needs to be a variety show with clip packages of people holding statuettes, but it should be a variety show. Or maybe what it should be is it should be the Super Bowl halftime show, should be the Oscars. Just like, let's just get it all together in one day. I'll eat my Doritos, drink my beer, watch people win statuettes, and score football, the touchdowns.
It's like there's a sort of an electricity to the way the Globes is set up, where it's everyone's at tables, they're relaxed, there's intermingling between commercial breaks. Whereas that, like,
the Globes, Keith, be careful. The Globes were just 2 weeks ago, and it was,
I know, but
it was a Tuesday night special on TV.
I'm not saying that.
I think Mastery Runs got more viewing than
what I'm saying is that format is interesting, and it's like this whole, like, sitting people in chairs and everyone's just so damn serious. It's just boring, and it's not anything that's enticing to anyone to watch, little for 30 minutes, let alone 4 hours, which is when how long the show usually runs. And I just find it hilarious that this organization that is filled with people who are all about progress and change just refuse to do anything to change a model of a show that is clearly broken.
Again,
and they have no interest in.
Keith and I's resumes are posted online. We can produce it for you.
Why would you want to produce it?
Let's talk about the actresses in the leading role.
Okay, let's do it.
Some more good names out there. Some great stuff happening here. So Cate Blanchett, she's in Tar. So we know that one. I think she's getting a lot of creds right now, a lot of visibility, and talk about that. And Anna, I think it's Anna, right? Anna de
Armas.
Ana de Armas is for Blonde, which I haven't seen that one yet. That one is going to be on my to-do list.
I got some mixed reviews, I think, but apparently her performance is pretty great. Andrea
Riseborough, you were saying pre-show that she's getting a little bit of you tried too hard to get the nomination.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Matt Belloni's article was about. His post this week was that there's a little bit of consternation inside the Academy because apparently there was a lot of what's the word, campaigning for her amongst the acting community.
A
So,
little
which is
too
kind of
throwback to
a little too
Miramax days.
aggressive.
We don't
Yeah, like
we
a
don't want
little,
to.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. A little throwback to the Weinstein era
yeah,
of aggressive campaigning. So, which the Academy frowns on.
yeah.
So,
Trying to keep it more of a
there's
meritocracy than
yeah,
the
there's been a little consternation about her on nomination because it's a little random, and it's a movie that I don't think anyone's really seen, but apparently her performance is somewhat decent. But I guess there were a lot of emails exchanged. I don't know if it was between her agents or her managers or fellow actors about, well, these people are going to get nominated anyway, so why don't you try to shoehorn her in or something like that.
Yeah,
So
she should follow the advice and what Will Smith did. Will Smith barely campaigned for himself. I didn't see any billboards, and I'm being sarcastic because all I saw was the only person I saw campaigning was Will Smith. By the way,
yeah, right,
um,
yeah, exactly.
but Michelle Williams for the Spielbergs, I think.
Yep.
Yep. And then Michelle Yao. I think we already know she's going to win, right? Didn't she win
I
the
think she's
Golden
going to
Globe?
win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she won the Globe. She's been getting praises, and she's a great actress. She's been working for a long time. She's had some great roles. So I think she's probably going to end up getting it.
Yeah. And acting leading role, this is kind of fun too. Nominees are Elvis, played by Aston Butler, or I should say Elvis playing us.
Elvis
Like
played.
he embodied him so much that
Yeah, apparently
I think
he
it was
hasn't been able.
Elvis alive actually pretending to be Aston more than it was
Well,
Austin
apparently he
trying to
hasn't
be.
been able to shake the voice and the accent. Apparently he still talks with a deep
Oh, what's his
Elvis
name that did
voice.
Freddie Mercury had the same issue. Like I felt like for 3 years he was still being Freddie Mercury, and I think he even added some fake teeth for himself. What's his name? The guy, best actor. Come on, Lydia, look that up for us.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but I know
Mr.
who you're talking
Robot
about.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin Farrell for the Banshees, which is
Mm-hmm.
again, I've only heard good things about how that's going on. Wow, Encino Man is nominated. The Whale. This is really surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was
Put on a
making
fat suit,
Geico
man,
ads.
and
I
there's
didn't realize
there's
Encino Man when he was melted down, he became an actor, and this is incredible.
Hey, man, he had some pretty good roles back in the day. School Ties, come on.
Yeah, The Mummy.
Cowards!
Look at this. You could listen, Hollywood Breakers. Listen to me right now. This is really, really important. If you can go from Encino Man and The Mummy to winning and not being nominated for Best Actor for The Whale, Hollywood is
Everything's
still alive
possible.
for you. You could break through. It is not broken. This is awesome. Brendan Fraser being nominated is
I
come
know
on, just bring up Keanu Reeves next year. We're going to be bringing you like what? This is incredible. This is great. How about Paul Mescal for After Sun? I don't know who that is.
I don't know anything about that. Nothing about that.
And then Bill Nighy for Living. Again, I think the Academy does a good job of finding people and bringing attention to movies that
Yeah, I mean, I
it
think
was like
that's
the
true.
version
I
of
mean,
like American Music Awards for films. It would just be based off of popularity votes and pop culture. So
yeah, I think the Academy, I think, probably is fairly pleased with this year's nominations because it is a very good mix of indie and studio films as well that people actually saw versus just the very small insular community seeing it. So, I mean, it seems to be the nominations have sort of covered a broad swath versus just focusing on one sector of the releases from the year.
Actor in a supporting role, Brendan Gleeson for Banshees. Banshees is gonna come on. They're doing great. They're nominated everywhere. Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway. Judd Hirsch for the Spielbergs. This is really great. Oh, this is where Banshee loses, right? Because it's Barry Keoghan, or is it Keoghan?
Yeah, they're gonna split.
They got to split, which means that Kiwa Kwan, right? Kiwa Kwan, yeah, is going to win because, and I hope they sit him next to Spielberg. Wouldn't it be awesome if Spielberg
if he wins the Oscar, that's going to be like one of the great
Indiana Jones. It'd be incredible to see these two guys.
Not just Indiana Jones, but Goonies. I would argue he's probably more famous for Goonies than anything
Spielberg
else.
didn't direct Goonies. I'm just saying Spielberg
he produced it. No. He executive produced Goonies, and he was I believe he was instrumental in him being hired for Goonies because of his experience with playing Short Round on Temple of Doom.
Yeah, great.
So
I
I would
think
love to see that. That would be like a great pop culture moment, because not only that, but his lawyer who represented him on the deal for Everything Everywhere All at Once was Chunk from the Goonies,
oh
who's now
yeah, it's
who's an attorney who represents actors, which I think is great.
it'd be great if Corey Feldman came out and introduced them too, or presented it to them. We would have
and Josh Brolin was there too. Get them all there.
For those of you younger than 45, The Goonies was a movie in the 80s.
Great movie from the 80s. Don't sell it short, Tim. Come on.
It was such a great movie. I don't think I'd let my kids watch it. I'm pretty sure it was a perfectly good 80s movie that way, right?
It was a great. Why wouldn't you let your kids watch it?
I don't know. I don't trust
the only
any
thing
movie
that's scary.
anymore. I don't trust any of them. I have to watch them and go like, wait a second, my parents let me watch this when I was 13? This is bad.
Well, I wouldn't let my kids watch it because it does get a little scary with the pirates and the skeletons, and the criminals are a little scary too, especially the mother of the criminals can be a little frightening for the younger set.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's wrap this up with actress in a supporting role. Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever. Awesome. Good job. That's really great.
Yep.
Hung Chow, I want to say, is the name from The Whale. So
yeah, she plays I think Brandon Fraser's like caregiver.
Oh, that's cool.
In The Whale, yeah. Kerry
Condon for Banshees. So Banshees again, like, geez, man, this is really, really great. Jamie Lee Curtis from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I love Jamie Lee Curtis in that role. Wasn't she so funny in that role?
I didn't see it.
Oh, dude, what is wrong with you? Please, if you are watching this, make a comment right now in this thing, and tell Keith, go to the movies.
This is stop, Tim, stop.
This is good stuff. This is good stuff.
Yes, I would love to go to the movies. I do need to work on it. You're right. It's something it's my New Year's resolution.
I feel like you're my mom. I need to teach you this. There's this thing, it's called a remote control, and there's a button on it, and you press the button, and the movie comes to you.
I know, Tim, but what you have to understand is
I know that Comcast numbers are down. And
no,
Apple streaming is not doing its job, but look, this thing works, and the movie still shows up. They're losing $3 billion a quarter to stream content.
Hold on, let me explain. The reality is, it's great that you and your wife have similar tastes in movies. That's awesome. My wife and I do not, so therefore, it is very hard for us to find a movie that we both like. And like, for example, if I wanted to watch the Banshees of Ireland, or whatever it's called, sorry, I'm gonna blurrize it. What is it called? The Banshees of Irishin. She would be bored in 5 minutes. Like, she wouldn't want to watch it. So I have to find these moments when I can watch all these movies. So that again is,
I know Vision Craft Brew is keeping you busy, man. And those
well, there's that too. Somewhere. There's work, there's kids, there's my wife and I don't agree on movies. So there's only so many hours in the day.
Struggle is
what can I say? What can I say?
Make a comment.
The struggle is real.
Keith to go watch it. Tell Keith this is remote control. Press the button. Come on, folks. The Banshee here. All right, that's what it's Stephanie, and I want to say it's Hugh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So again, they're going to split the vote on that one. I
don't know. I think Angela Bassett's going to get that one because again, she's she's had a great career. She's just apparently wonderful in the movie and really kind of represents the grief that a lot of people felt over Boseman's death. So something along those lines. I think she's pretty much got this one locked in. Although Jamie Lee Curtis,
the one kind of a nod, I guess, for the
but Jamie Lee
right?
Curtis is like, she's like Hollywood royalty, and her reaction to the nomination was viral the day of. So I don't know.
Oh, really?
She might have a shot.
She's coming out too early. It's like when you win too early in the presidential
the primaries.
Primaries. You're not going to win the nomination.
Yeah.
You become the target.
But it would be a huge win.
That's the only major nomination for Wakanda Forever too. So maybe it's one place.
Well, it'd be a huge win for Marvel because they could say like, they're like, look, we won an Oscar. We're a legitimate player now. So
yeah, that would be great.
As a marketer, that's like a dream come true when your movies that often get paging Scorsese. See, we can win Oscars too, and not just for visual effects.
Well, I find it so interesting that the time is coming once again. I'm still going to be really curious how the show is pulled together. I think streaming is doing something here that is shaked up Hollywood enough that we could, maybe address some different things in the show coming up, and it's just not being an award show. But I don't know who's producing or directing the show this year. We'll have to kind of look that up. And
yeah, I don't think it's any. I think it's the veterans. They always they tried someone different last year. They're going back to the veterans this year, and that pretty much means we're going to have a very standard show. It's going to follow the same format. They're going to. I don't remember who the host is. I think it's Jimmy Kimmel. Is he coming back? I think. So I don't have high hopes for a vastly different format. It's all going to be tinkering around the edges where the presenters present. Maybe they'll try to do a couple best song performances. I mean, Lady Gaga is nominated for her song for Top Gun, so maybe they'll bring her in. Maybe Tom Cruise will do some sort of special, like jumping from the top of Hollywood and Highland. I don't know.
They should get him to jump on a couch when he wins. They should bring out a couch. And he wins. He'd be like, I won.
Well, he's not nominated. He's not nominated for anything.
But well, if he would win, wouldn't he win for Best Picture? He would be on stage.
He's not listed as a producer though, and the Academy is very specific about who can go up. There's only, I think it's a max of 3, but sometimes they let that fly depending on.
For Best Picture, I feel like
actually, you're right. He is a producer. He's one of the producers. It's him, Chris McQuarrie, Ellison, David Ellison, and Bruckheimer.
And then, but I think everybody gets on stage for Best Picture. I'm pretty sure the entire. It's
usually.
Yeah.
Unless they announce the wrong name, in which case then there's total.
And we have 2 movies on stage.
That's the bigger question. What is going to be the big disaster that's going to happen this year? I mean, we've had like announcing the wrong movie, physical assault. I don't really know how you're going to top.
I just want one of those big gigantic Oscars, just like timber over,
take out crash.
Yeah.
Or somebody like falling
get hurt.
off stage.
I'm just saying it'd be a fascinating moment.
Or somebody completely missing their mark, or like tripping over the mic, or something like that.
No, this is here's the question to ask: what role does Questlove play in this year's Oscars? Because his time last year was stolen from him with the slap. So does he get an opportunity?
Oh, that's a good point.
He jaded in the past, and he obviously has opportunity.
That would be interesting if you brought Questlove and let him do a performance or something, or expound a little bit more, since he did kind of get overshadowed by the slap.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Tim. Yeah, I agree.
Well, we didn't get to the earnings report from Comcast, but I'll just say this again. They are losing billions of dollars a year to stream movies to your house, Keith. So take advantage of other people's money while
they are losing, and they're going to lose more next year.
Rates or cut down that content. They can't.
I don't have Comcast. So, I mean, most of my neighbors do, but I don't.
You have everybody's losing. Disney loses. Everyone's losing on the streaming game. So you have a chance.
Well, everyone's got to start showing the money. Well, Netflix not losing on the streaming game.
Show me the money.
Well, that's the mantra.
Every week I love this show. I don't know if anyone else loves it, but you and we have a good time. I appreciate it.
There are a lot of people, all 10 of them, who love this show.
And before we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to the Moldovans. And I apologize if anything I said today that offended you. We do love you, and we're so thankful that Top Gun can save Moldova in the film. So.
I don't know if you I think you dug a bigger hole for yourself.
Oh, really? Michelle, I love you. Lydia, I love you. The whole team at Go Social. You guys are amazing. Thanks for all you do and put this together. Keith, thank you for another great show. And we're looking forward to the guests that are coming up soon. We got people popping their names into our schedule. So
yes, so we can reveal to next week's guest is Kevin Getz, who is, as most of our viewers will remember, we had him on a few months ago, and he was the writer of Audienceology, which is sort of a peek behind the curtain on movie testing, and how that process informs the final product. So he'll be returning next Friday, and I'm sure it will be a fascinating conversation. So be sure to tune in for that.
I want to hear his influence on all these pictures, of what input he had in testing that he did to see if what results he got from his thing. So, all right, my friend, have a great weekend. Enjoy the movies while you can, and I'll see you next week.
See you next week.